Hello, everybody. We are streaming live to YouTube and figuring out the Instagram connection. She's on top of it, our resident producer for the day. As we get set up there, I'll let you guys know that we're going to be talking today about
Hello,
our
I'm live, I
component.
think. Let me see if
Oh,
it's
she's saying
working.
things, but I can't hear her. Oh, here we go. Live on Instagram.
Oh, are you there? Hi,
Oh,
Sharon.
and for some reason the camera's backwards. Of course, couldn't be smooth. Maybe the third time's the charm.
Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Is it working?
Hello.
Oh
It's
my
working.
goodness, Chrissy Schneck, hello.
Ooh,
Haven't
and
seen
I'm
you
going to
in
open the
forever.
chat on the YouTube so we can see that as well. Feel free to ask us questions if you guys need any support in the moment or any self-connection practices that would be helpful. Today, we're going to be talking about our personal component, the element we bring to making repairs with our connections, and how knowing ourselves best and feeling our bodies can help us with that. So, Gigi has a very sweet story to illustrate this concept, and then we're going to do some body practices to connect with that for ourselves.
It is a very sweet story, and I know that on our old version of the podcast, I would walk you all through a body connection practice, and we're doing it a bit differently now, but I still need it. So, my body connection practice is I have my hand in this squishmallow. I'm in my kids' room right now. I'm just going to feel how soft it is and invite you to do what you need to do to feel good for you. But the
You
story
know
goes
what's
a little
funny?
bit like this.
Hang
Oh,
on.
what do you want to
I'm
say?
gonna I'm gonna take something hard and metal. You've got the soft, squishy thing. I've got the hard metal thing that feels comforting for me.
That's just how we are.
Yeah.
So the sweet story goes a little bit like this. Um, Driving in the car yesterday morning, early, 7 a.m. with my partner, and maybe he's watching. Hi. And a reminder comes off, notification on his phone. And it doesn't say anything. All I see is the reminder app has pinged at 7 a.m. I said, he's driving. So I said, hey, you have a reminder. And he's like, oh, that's my reminder every day at 7 a.m. to check in to see if there's anything for us to repair, like if we need to reconnect on anything. And it was the sweetest thing. And here's the little backstory. The backstory is when we have an argument, it's not really an argument, like we have conflict, tension, something that was hard for us. We tend to like to resolve before we go to bed. That's just what works best for us. I know not everybody is like that, but that's how we like to do things. So we would have gone to bed having worked out whatever it was that was hard, talking about the hard thing. And we would have gone to bed peacefully together. But knowing me and my system, I wake up and my body remembers it. It remembers we had this hard thing last night. And I feel I need something a little bit more in the morning when we wake up to acknowledge, hey, we're good. That was hard last night. We worked through it. We're good to go today. Let's have a nice day together. I love you. All is good in our world. And what I noticed is we would have situations where we'd have some sort of rupture or conflict the night before, and we'd resolve it. And in the morning, I'd wake up, like, sort of waiting for him to, like, explicitly say something like, hey, that was hard last night. I'm glad we had that talk. I'm glad we figured it out. Let's have a good day together. I love you. And it just wouldn't come. And I'd be sort of pissed and half seething, but trying to convince myself I shouldn't be mad because there's nothing to be mad about because we already resolved the thing. But I just knew inside I was just craving more connection still. I was craving that extra bit of we're good, we're okay. That thing was yesterday and now it's finished. And so I realized that about myself. And I thought, I think I really need to communicate this with this person because knowing him, if I look at all the evidence of who he is as a partner, I'm like, this is not a person who would want to maliciously withhold love or make me feel bad or anything like that. So I'm like, this is a well-intentioned person who wants me to feel connected to him. So I asked him, I said, what is it like for you in the morning after we've had a thing the night before, even though we've resolved it? And I come to learn for him, it's complete. It's done. It was resolved last night when we said our I'm sorries, or I could have done this better or that better, and I love you, and this is what I'll do next time. It's totally done for him, and we're good right in that moment. I'm like, oh, well, it's not done for me. It was done for me last night for last night. And this morning, when I wake up, I realize I still need a little something. I need to know we're okay. And so he's like, "Oh." And I said, "Do you not need that?" He's like, "No, we're good. I don't need that." So I was like, "Okay." And so he said, "Okay, I'm on it. It'll never happen again. I'll make sure that I check in with you and we reconnect after a rupture the day after, the morning after." And I was like, "Okay, sure. I trust you." And then yesterday, as we're driving, that reminder comes on. And I was like, "Seriously? You set a reminder for every single day?" I said, "What happens when you hear it?" Because I wasn't sure. I'm like, "Is it just something you hear and you dismiss? You don't pay attention?" He's like, "No, I hear it and I run through my memory what happened yesterday and whether there was a thing, a rupture of some kind, and whether we need to repair something or it would be helpful if I like extended to you." I was like, "Wow, how
Hmm.
sweet."
Yeah. And real, like, self-directed willingness, So I want people listening to understand that he came up with that solution himself because it will work for him, right?
Mhm.
This is not the kind of thing that you could just say, "Hey, I heard Georgianna does this with her partner. I want you to do that too." Because then they'll look at the reminder. It won't be meaningful for them. It won't be the thing that they needed. He was actually deeply willing and wants to do that. It's something that is possible for him. It feels good and doable. And so therefore he's on it.
Yeah, and it feels so good to let someone know what I need without making myself feel wrong or needy and let them have some creative outlet about how they might try to meet that need if that's important to them and trust them to try it out and for us to see how it feels. And so it's been real growth for me to not make myself wrong for what I need and to not make another person wrong for not needing the same thing or not understanding that I would need it. There would have been a time in my life where I would have just kept seething like all day long. Like, why aren't you reconnecting with me? Obviously, you should. Obviously, that thing happened yesterday. Why don't you want to check in? Are we not good? And there'd
Yeah.
be a low level of that throughout the day that then I'd try to push away and thought that I suck because I'm thinking of this and I have a great person who's my partner. And then oscillating between that and, well, he obviously sucks. And, oh, but maybe I need to tell him what I need. And no, actually, he should know and read my mind that that's what I need. Some version of that. And now it's just simpler. It feels so nice for me after we've had something hard the night before for us to just wake up and be a little extra intentional about connecting with each other and to
Yeah.
acknowledge that that thing happened yesterday and that was hard, it didn't feel good, and that it's finished. And
Yeah.
I love that the growth that it shows on my side that I'm like, "Oh, those muscles are growing." And then on his side, I'm just really appreciative because he could very easily say, and I think I've done this before in relationship, "Well, I don't need that. I don't know why you would need that. We're obviously it's fine the night before. We went to bed fine. Why all of a sudden in the morning do you need to make this such a big deal?" And all the things.
Yes.
And I'm really grateful that he doesn't take that approach. He's like, "Okay." I can tell he's trying to understand, "What do you need? And what does that give you?" Because he's not wired that way. He really doesn't need it, and so his brain doesn't experience it that way, he doesn't think that way about it. It would never occur to him that that would be something that feels important for me. But when I
Mhm.
express it as a wish and I share the importance that it has for me and how it feels for me, he's like, "Okay, I think I can do something about that." And I just thought it was the sweetest thing. Like, how sweet.
That's very sweet. Yeah, and that's like there's no blocks to him wanting to give you love, right? So there's two pieces I want to speak to here, and it's why we do exactly what we do, exactly how we do it. It's body connection and it's shadow work. So you're describing being able to experience your own physical sensory experience of, wanting to shut down, wanting to lash out and be crabby and feeling like you haven't been loved on enough and repaired with enough all
Mhm,
day long, which so many of us experience following these sorts of things. And then there's the shadow work piece of you feeling like you actually deserve that love and connection. Old G, who hadn't done all this work, was making herself bad and wrong for feeling these ways and trying to shut it down. Instead, you've gone in and explored the depths of these experiences for yourself and come out the other side going, actually, my body is telling me I want to have a different experience here. And if I can just be honest about how I feel and what I want, which requires shadow work to be able to do, then
mhm.
you might actually be able to have that experience for yourself, right?
Yes, I love that you're talking about, like, the experiences we get to have, but we need to do some work to increase the odds that we get to experience things like that, and this reminds me of a teaching from conscious relationship training, right? Phil teaching us the 5 levels of mind, and in our round of online conscious relationship training, we've been talking about, whether we're in that level 2, you suck. No, level 2 is I suck. Level 3 is you suck, right? And like how many of us realize I'm just oscillating all day long in some version of you suck or I suck, or
Suck,
maybe
suck,
we
suck,
all
suck.
suck, right?
Yeah.
And level 4 is that place of radical honesty and personal ownership. And this is what we're talking about. Like radical honesty for me is I feel off in the morning. Not completely, but something just doesn't feel quite right in the morning. And I need a little extra loving on in the morning. Like that's that tender, vulnerable truth of what I need. And to be willing to acknowledge that and say that. And I really want to say it takes courage to show that tender part of ourselves to someone to say, I need a little bit more loving. Like, I know that it makes maybe no logical sense, but this is what would feel good for me. And to just put it out there and see what happens. Right.
Right.
And I want to differentiate here between sometimes we got to learn to put that out there with people who we have no evidence of how they're going to receive it and no evidence of how they're going to respond. It's just a risk we need to take. And we need to learn that no matter how they respond or if they respond at all, I will be okay. And then you have another category where we're in relationship with someone where actually I have a lot of evidence. I have overwhelming evidence that this person cares about me, that when they can, they do what's good for our relationship. They want to co create something healthy together. I have that evidence. So let me remember that because when we're feeling off and our feelings are hurt, sometimes it's really easy to forget that this is actually a person who wants to love on me, who wants us to have good connection. And sometimes they're having a hard time, or they just, because they're not us, they just don't know what we need. And we need to help us and them and the relationship out
Yeah.
a little bit by sharing from that more tender, vulnerable place. Right.
Yeah.
Um, this also reminds me of parenting. And it's that
Yeah.
when my kids were young, I was very lucky to learn from Dr. Gordon Neufeld. And he talks about bridging discipline. And when he talks about that, he means, sometimes you're going to have to tell your kids that something they did is not okay because they need some limits and boundaries. But how can you say that with love and care? And at the same time, he would remind us remember to bridge your discipline, which means Remind your child, we are still good. Our relationship is still good. I still love you. You're still a good kid. And I think for me, having experienced a lot of rupture in my family of origin growing up, not getting to experience repair in the way that I needed as a kid left me extra sensitive to when there's like tension or conflict or rupture in a connection. But I feel that extra need of like confirmation of, hey, are we okay? Are we good? And it's like, as a parent, if you had a hard moment with your kid, to remind them, hey, I still love you. We're still good. You're still a good kid. And if anybody here listening is a parent, you might remember where you've gone to bed, where you've sort of resolved things with your kid, but it just didn't go the way either of you wanted, at bedtime. And in the morning, that feeling, that desire, that need to like have that extra, hey, we're good, right? I still love you. I think it's just a human thing to want to know that connection is still it's still here. It's good.
Superhuman thing, and super rare for people to naturally do that. Now these are things that we're aware of in the ways of parenting now, and you can learn from Dr. Neufeld and people like that. We weren't really raised with that sort of experience. It didn't really exist. People just sort of weren't aware that this was maybe a thing. People are busy, people are
Yeah.
harried, they've got to go, they're in a rush. And so all of this wiring that we've got around rupture and repair was formed in a time when we were little, we were slow moving, we didn't know what was going on, our brains weren't developed, our parents were in a rush, we had to go. And so we've got all these like hanging chads of feelings, all of these connected in ways that are not helpful for adult relationships and
Mhm.
repair. And this is stuff we can actually work on and change. And being conscious of it through body practice and through shadow work are key. And it's doable. You can actually change the way you experience all of this stuff.
Mhm.
And I'm wondering if I can relate your story to my little story, and then maybe you could walk us through a practice
Okay.
for rewiring some of this right now.
Okay.
Um, I think this will be relatable to everyone. I think we've all had a dream that has been awful, and then we wake up with all of those feelings still present, and the morning feels weird. Maybe the whole day feels weird. I had one of these dreams the other day about a close friend, and I woke up in my dream, I had gone to sleep where I was, so when I woke up, I thought I was still in the dream, and I cried for 10 minutes, and then I realized, "Wait a minute, I'm awake. That was a dream. That was not real." But the feeling was still viscerally there, and I was like, "I need to make a repair with this woman. I need to tell her what happened, and I need to connect about this. This needs to be aired out." And in the past, I would have just been the full, "This is stupid. That was a dream. None of this needs to happen." And a deeper layer of I don't feel good enough or worthy enough to bring this reality of myself. I expect to
Mhm.
be whatever it is made fun of or shut down or told that's ridiculous. And then I had to remember the layer of actually, here's all the evidence that I know these people care about this relationship and they care about me. And that's not the way that we do life. So I don't need to worry about those things. And I am going to bring this up. And I do value my experience enough to not want this to tarnish my entire day.
Mhm.
Um, and that's just something I learned in a class. You can do that. You can have a much nicer experience for yourself by creating a slightly new reality by making a few tweaks.
Yes, I love it. I love that we can do that, and I relate to that feeling, waking up with from a dream, feeling like it was so real, and from that place of feeling, that icky feeling, I have a need. Even if the dream isn't real,
Yeah.
I have a need, and being able to voice that need to someone and having them tend to it seriously with care is something really special, and I think it's a good measure of who we choose to let into our world and our hearts, right? There's certain people like, we were talking on a call earlier. Certain people, you're born into a family and you don't have a choice about who your family members are. But at a certain point, you do have a choice about who you're choosing to let into your world, into your energetic space, into your heart. Would you be willing to choose someone who tends to how you feel with care, whether it makes sense to them or not,
Yeah. Are
right?
you willing to believe that person exists? Is also a huge question, or that
Mhm.
millions of them exist, right? If that hasn't been an experience you've had, it might seem pretty incredible that that's even possible. And I want to assure you that it is.
Yeah, and it's a very sweet feeling to know that there's someone out there that feels that my feelings matter even if they make no sense to them. And again, this reminds me of parenting, where when I used to work with parents, they would get confused about their children feeling a certain way. Like, why does it matter whether it's the blue cup or the pink cup or whatever? Who cares? And I would say, can we play a game together? Say, have you ever really had your like heart set on something? Really doesn't matter to anyone else, but like your heart is set on it. And then all of a sudden, when the day comes, someone gives you something totally different, not what you had imagined at all. And you know that initial feeling where your stomach sort of drops, that disappointment? They're like, "Yeah, like, it's not a nice feeling." I'm like, "Yes, that's the feeling." Right? So you do get that feeling of disappointment, but as a parent, as an adult, you might not care whether you're drinking out of a blue cup or a red cup, but your kid does. In that moment, that feeling is so real for them. So here we're talking about feelings that we can actually still connect to because it's a universal thing to feel disappointed. But that scenario might not have elicited disappointment for you. And just because that scenario does not elicit disappointment for you, doesn't mean it's not real for the other person. So when your partner is trying to tell you how they feel about something and it would never elicit the same feeling for you, would you be willing to sit with the possibility that that feels very real for that person right now, that person that you care about? Just like when you feel your things, they feel very real for you. And even if someone didn't agree with you or couldn't give you what you needed, how would it feel to feel their care and their welcoming of it's okay for you to feel this way? I'm still going to respond with warmth and tenderness towards you. Like that's just really sweet to me. If imagine living
It
in a world
is.
like that, that feels much more
Yeah.
pleasant. Right? There's a lot of things in the
Does.
world we can't control. But I do feel like we have agency over who we choose to have in our lives and how we choose to learn with them to grow more pleasant experiences with each other.
Yeah. And I feel I must point out that there was a time where that sweetness would have felt icky to me
Mhm.
and stupid, I want to say.
Say
Like
more, say more.
it wouldn't have been like, "Oh, that's sweet." It would have been like something that I couldn't quite believe or get my head around. It was so far out of my
Mhm.
realm of existence that it couldn't feel good to me. Sweet, soft, gentle could not feel good. I needed like hard. And a lot of me still tends that way, but I can
Mhm.
also now enjoy the gentle, sweet stuff, you know?
Mhm.
And that is also something that can be learned and shift. And I think it's super important for people like me who think that hard and fast is the way. Like,
Mhm.
use that hard, fast sensibility to learn how to be with soft and gentle and experience the whole range of human existence instead of this little slice of it.
Well, it's funny, well, not funny, we know this by now, you and I, how we're different but the same, because I needed to learn how to be with the hard, the direct, the blunt, the stuff that feels hard to hear. and and know that someone can speak to me with that level of truth and bluntness and I can still feel their care. Like this is not about minimizing someone's abusive behavior. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about someone who you know deeply cares about you and there's care in their message, but it's just a hard truth. It's just hard to hear. And there's so much value in growing our capacity to hear hard truths from people who love us and care about us and are sharing from a place of care. And I'm going to add are able and willing to do their own work. This is not about someone never looks at themselves and they're just all about telling you all the hard truths. All right. This is like when we have this reciprocal relationship with someone where we grow the relational safety to say, I love you. I believe in you. I believe in your ability to handle the truth. And it would be a disservice for me to not tell you the thing that is hard to hear. And are you willing to hear it right now? Do you have capacity to hear it right now? And I really had to learn to grow that capacity to hear harder things. I was all for the soft. There wasn't enough soft in my childhood. So I needed to hear
Mm.
tons of soft, everything couched in like nice, gentle, loving words. And then there grows a point where I'm like, okay, that bucket is getting more and more filled. I think I also need to now learn to grow the opposite muscle of hearing some of the things that are not, all bubble wrapped in softness and just hard, blunt truth. And to be able to
Nice.
live where I can enjoy and appreciate the whole spectrum now, like that feels really nice. I like that.
Powerful. That's freedom, man.
Mhm.
That's what we claim to all want.
Claim to all
Yeah.
want. I'm curious, Steph, you said there would have been a time where the softness was icky and gross, and you
Yeah.
liked the hard, yucky feeling things. I don't know how you phrased
But
it.
they didn't feel yucky. They felt I think I was because I'm quite sensory, but I didn't know that for a long time. So I think I needed a lot of overstimulation to just exist,
Mhm.
and to not like it made me stop dissociating. Tell me something unpleasant that I have to sense, and it'll sort of bring me back. It was a bit like a tether
Right.
to the world.
So that orienting to things that are harsher, that felt easier and I guess better to you, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I
Yeah.
used to enjoy laser hair removal. Not anymore.
So, the reason why I'm sort of getting particular about this and asking you this more is, did your life feel good though? Like
Mm. No, but I didn't know that. Like, that's kinda what I'm getting at is
mhm,
there's whatever your experience is as a human right now, gentle or hard, I mean, there's a huge range of experiences you could be having. There is countless other ways that you could be experiencing things,
mm,
and you might discover that the ways you've been doing it, which you think feel fine or even good or exciting or whatever, um, you might be actually feeling different things if you tried something else. So where I thought I was feeling good before, I now realize, oh my gosh, that didn't feel good at all. I just thought it did.
mhm,
And now my threshold has shifted. My expectations have shifted. My ability to connect with other people and the quality with which I can connect with other people has changed dramatically. What feels
mhm,
pleasurable to me now compared to what it
right.
used to be is just a completely different realm.
I love it. You said something really important here. I think a great takeaway is our willingness to be curious about how something that we either have deemed bad or wrong or not my thing might feel, or something we've just never experienced. To just be curious. I mean, there's a certain realm of things that I just know I really don't need to experience really awful things to know they're really awful. But outside of that, there's still such a huge range of how things could be done, how I could think about things, what might feel good to do. And that's been a big part of my healing and growth is to get curious about how might doing it this way or thinking about it this way or connecting with that element of the truth feel. What is it like to do something a little bit different than what I'm used to?
Mm.
And I found that I'm often pleasantly surprised. Either that something actually feels way better than I thought it would, or that something I'm actually able to be with something that I never realized I could be with. I just thought that's beyond
Yeah.
my capacity. That's too hard. I can't handle that. I can't do that. I'm like, oh, actually, that was pretty okay. Like, wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
And then all of
Right.
a sudden, we grow and shift into this different self identity of I'm a person who can experience this and be okay.
Yeah.
That's a really good feeling.
Seriously. So you'll recall this vividly, I'm sure. I used to have to pronounce self-compassion. Like I had to mock it as I was saying it. And perhaps you can imagine what that did to my ability to try new things and not be good at them. All of my
Mm,
internal responses were very self-critical, very shaming. And as I developed self-compassion, I realized, oh, I can actually be kind to myself as I'm in this, space of not knowing something, not knowing how to do something. It opens up the world for me to try new things and feel good about it instead of feel ashamed. The feeling of accomplishing a thing with the self-critical voice was still very exhilarating. You feel like
yeah.
amazing, I did it even though I've been shitting on myself the entire time. But now I
Mhm.
can be like a supportive, encouraging parent to myself, which is just beyond. Like, talk about increasing your range of livability and experience.
Yeah. It reminds me of remember when I used to send you videos of I think the Instagram handle might have been like my Korean dad or something.
Oh, I love him.
And
Yeah,
it's
he's
this like
sweet.
Korean dad and he talks to you in this, you can do this and like, yeah, I'm here cheering you on. And it's just so wholesome and sweet. And like imagine if we all spoke to ourselves that way. And that's what sort of we're here about. I'm all for this. I'm all for this being kinder to ourselves and practicing that little by little. And Steph, you're talking about something that I think is, it'd be fun to do a whole other episode on how to lift ourselves up during the process of sucking at something, right? And I've had to grow my muscle in that as a, recovering perfectionist to learn to suck at things and be like, it's okay, I suck at them. It would make sense that I suck at this right now because it's super new.
Yeah.
But right now, I think one exercise, maybe we can walk people through this exercise as a practice. This is not even about growing our capacity to like suck at things and be in that messy middle. This is just the practice of try something different. All right. So let's go with this. Let's go with right now. Would you like to lean on something or sit up straight? Just choose one. Practice sitting up straight and just noticing how that feels. And here you might want to notice what is neutral or pleasant about this? Not the whole thing. I mean, it could all be neutral or pleasant, but what is one element of sitting up straight, if that's what you chose, that feels sort of neutral or pleasant? I actually really like how strong my spine feels for me. What do you notice, Steph?
Hmm. Yeah, my back feels strong, but I have a headache, and it enhanced my awareness of that.
Okay. Yeah. So we can shift out of that and you can do whatever you feel you need for your headache, right? So, whatever you became more aware of in that practice, allow yourself to tend to that or at least acknowledge to your body, hey, I noticed you there. I'm listening. I'm going to tend to you later. And then when you're ready, if you're willing, just lean up against something and notice how that feels. This is so interesting. My body's like, yeah, nope. So I'm going to sit up, which actually surprises me because I would have thought leaning against the wall would feel good, but it didn't. I'm going to try it again. And I'm noticing that when I lean up against the wall, I get this restless, sort of racy feeling in my chest. So I'm going to sit up again.
If I sit up an inch straighter than I was sitting up before, it feels better for my headache.
Say that again. I feel like you cut out. If you sit up, then what happens?
If I sit up a little bit straighter than I was sitting
Mhm.
before when I was sitting up straight, it feels better for my headache,
Okay.
which
Yeah.
is also an unexpected.
Yeah. So if you notice something pleasantly unexpected, see if you can let yourself savor that for a breath or three. Just hang there for a little longer than usual. And as I was moving out around, I realized it's not that I didn't want the whole leaning. It's like leaning my shoulder against the wall feels nice, but leaning my whole back right now doesn't feel good just because of the way I'm sitting. And sitting up tall
There's so many tiny
feels
nuances
better.
here, and they're important to notice these nuances, because when we're not paying attention, these build up as little irritations that we bring out into the world with us. But when you get to know yourself and be able to adjust in ways that, and these are microscopic adjustments, but they can make really a super difference in how you feel, how you experience, and how you interact. And so this is why it's important, right?
Yes, right? So the reason I walked us through that is many of us either didn't know whether we wanted to sit up straight or lean up against something, or you might have intellectually thought you knew, and to try it out to confirm and to notice how your body lets you know either, yes, I was right. The thing I thought I wanted, the thing I thought would feel good actually does. And so I'm going to stay. Or, oh, wait a second. The thing that I thought that I wanted actually doesn't feel that good. And so let me change that up. And like, this is about sitting up taller or leaning against the wall or the chair. But this is your life. Your life is a series of these things of trying something out, collecting the data, noticing what your body's letting you know, and choosing what you do with that data. Do you ignore what your body let you know, which we've all done before, so no shaming on that, but just notice your pattern, notice what's happening. Or do you take that data and you readjust and you tweak? Right? What happens, like, how many of us have gone into a relationship or a decision where our brain tells us this is what we want? And then you go for it with courage. And like partway through, you're like, wait a second, this is not feeling good anymore. And we're like, well, I chose it, so might as well. Or, well, some things are good, might as well hopefully hang out for longer and
Mm.
maybe they'll get better.
Better
Um,
marry them.
and
Let's have a
there
kid
is
together. Maybe that'll
value,
help.
right? There's value at times in hanging out and collecting more evidence. But there's also a lot of value in discerning and knowing when to take that data and tweak and change course. And
Yeah.
we can practice the simplicity just really in an exercise like, let's sit up tall and see what happens. Let's
Yeah.
lean against the wall or the chair and see what happens.
And the doing, I can't emphasize enough how important that is. I used to be the queen of going, oh, well, I know what that will feel like, so I'm not going to do it. I don't need to do it because I already know. And what we've just illustrated to you is that you don't until you do the thing. And it's the doing, it emerges, everything emerges from doing. So please practice and test it
Yes.
out and follow your body's impulses, because they will take you somewhere.
Yes, I remember recently someone, I mean, not recently, but I've been reminded recently of it. That clarity comes through action, right? You try something
Mhm.
out and it's going to give you some data. You can think all you want about it, but there won't be data. And evidence, if you want new evidence that you're okay, or the situation is okay, or the person is okay, or they're not, we need to do something to experience something to get some data. Right. So, for all of us ruminators out there who like to try to think our way through problems and figure everything out, um, we learned at one point to use our intellect. This is to help us remember to grow the other muscle of experiencing,
Yeah.
right? Thinking
I
is
think a lot
important,
of,
and so is experiencing.
yeah, I think a lot of the intellectual thinky types might take it to the level of journaling, writing things down, right? And you'll know from doing that that something emerges from the writing, right? You discover new ways of thinking about things. It helps you clarify your thinking, it helps you uncover new angles. And I want to inspire you by knowing that for yourself, that there is also another level, which is, again, the doing. So you can think, that'll do some great stuff. You can write, that'll do another level of great stuff. And then you can take some action, especially with safe people or in safe places. And that will give you yet another layer of self-awareness and of direction to take.
Yes. And if you practice with us or have practiced with us, you know another element of collecting data is saying things out loud, saying the things you think out loud, saying the things you journal out loud. Because when we hear our own voices saying these things back, something happens inside. Your body will give you a sense. It'll react to what you said. And it might show up with some constriction and resistance. It could show up with finally some letting down or a little bit of a butterfly here or a tightness there, but it's all really good information. So practice experiencing, practice saying the things out loud instead of always being quiet and just thinking about them. I promise you, you will discover really cool things about yourself. And if efficiency was always a big thing in my family, being efficient and effective, and I work with a lot of clients who are still very like, I'm all about efficiency and effectiveness. I'm like, if you value those things, I urge you, try these things out because you're going to be way more efficient because you're going to get more data and you're going to be way more effective because you're using in real time information from your body.
Yeah. So I want to direct everybody who's listening or watching to 2 ways they can do this practice with us. We're at 3. So there's this podcast, and there's so many back episodes where we're doing body connection work, we're doing shadow work and expositional stuff that you can kind of get examples from and practice with. There's also Somatic Sessions twice a month where we help you get to connect with your body and gather data from there. And then there's Conscious Relationship Training. The next round starts March 14th. And that is where we practice the radical honesty and the saying things out loud and the showing up and the doing of things in very different to regular society ways that will give you, 10x the data. Um,
Yeah. I
yeah.
really like this. If you're sort of sick of living and oscillating between I suck and they suck, I suck and everyone else sucks, I suck and you suck, then like practice this stuff because it makes such a difference. It's not fun to live in that place.
No. And even just saying out loud, "Hey, I suck. I think I suck, and I think you suck too." That is gonna create a ripple effect in your life that is going to take you somewhere. If you're just staying in your head with that nonsense, what's the point, you know? It could actually take you somewhere.
Yes, and here I'm talking about being able to say I suck from a place of like that's just the factual reality of the moment. Is I'm sucking right now. I'm not doing very good at this. I'm having a hard time and I'm new at this. I'm struggling. And to be able to say that with whatever words you want to use, but this isn't a blame shame thing. This is just I'm telling you where I'm at right now. And to be able to say, that like I don't like what you're doing right now. That doesn't feel good for me. That's a very different energetic experience to be that honest with yourself and another, not from an attacking place, but from a clarity place. I want to be close with you. So I want to share with you honestly what's going on with me. And I want to share with you honestly how your behavior is impacting me. That's a very different level of calling things out than living in this
Mhm.
internal, like, mind F of a place where I'm just crapping on myself for sucking the whole time, or I'm, like, outwardly pointing the finger at everybody else because they suck. And the hard thing about that is it feels momentarily good sometimes to be able to point the finger at someone else and say they suck because you don't have to take any personal responsibility, but it also is crappy because you have no control over that. Like, now I'm just around sucky people everywhere. Like, what kind of existence is that? That does not feel good, right? There's no sense of agency in that. So, I love practicing, noticing where do I have a sense of agency in my life? What is true for me right now? How can I practice being more real with myself and the people I care about? And really, it's from practicing these things that feel ridiculous, like, would you like to sit up straighter?
Right?
And notice how that feels. Do you wanna lean back? See how that feels. Make the adjustments, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's from these tiny practices that you can get to a place of being in a relationship with a man where you can say, hey, I feel like even though we fixed our rupture last night,
Mhm.
I still need some extra love and care in the morning because those icky feelings are still in my body and I don't want to live that way that day.
Yes, and when he hears that, he's like, "I don't want you to live that way today. So let me
Amazing.
give you an extra hug. Let me remind you that I love you and that we're good and that fight is done or that argument is finished and we're heading into the day brand new slate, you know? And you get to have that experience, right? Yeah.
It's possible.
Um,
Let's
yes, I
wrap it up.
see a bunch of you here. So if any of that resonated with you, you can let us know, or if you have any questions and even things that maybe weren't related to this topic, but since you're here, we're here. You have a question. We're happy to check out what you want to share with us or ask us. So
Yeah.
we'll hang.
And leave a comment if there's something that you want us to talk about next episode as well. We will always be soliciting that information in our stories and stuff. But you can comment here. We would love to answer your questions or help you live.
Hmm. It's really neat. How are you liking this live situation? Right? Can you hear us well? Is it different to listen to the podcast live instead of recorded? Right? We're having fun testing out this new version. And
Yeah.
we're looking forward to giving you more of what would feel good and feel helpful for you.
Whee!
Yes. So, if
All
there
right.
isn't
You got your
anything more, though,
squisher.
what's that?
You've got your squisher. I've got
I've
my
got my
hard
squisher.
metal cup.
But look at what it also does. Wait a second.
Is that a popple? It
This
turns
is,
into a Nemo.
it turns into a Nemo. And it's funny because we were just trying out differences. I think that if I look at Nemo, I actually my insides feel like lightened up, like a little kid. I'm gonna try it
Dude,
again. I'm gonna change it. Yes, no. What is this? A dolphin?
I
Shark?
think so. Shark, yeah.
So not the thing. So even as you're watching me, what happens when you see this version? Like notice your insides. Notice like what happens on your face. And then hold a moment. Magic show? How about this? What happens
Yeah.
now? Right? You see that even a silly squishmallow, they're called squishmallows, it has an impact. It either, maybe you're like, you know what? They're both exactly the same, which would be good to notice. What does indifferent feel like for you? What does neutral feel like for you? Right? This one, for whatever reason, it softens my insides. I'm like, oh. This one, I don't know. For those of you who like the dolphin,
Yeah.
you can love up on it, but it's not really doing it for me today.
It's good to know. And these tiny differences are how you get to know things like, what do you want for dinner? What do you want in a relationship? What career change do you want to make? This is why we talk about these little tiny silly sounding things. They're actually super important.
Yes, they are. So I think that's it for
All
today.
right.
Is that it for today?
That's it. That's it.
Thanks for
See
joining
you next
us.
time.
See you next
Yeah, thanks
time.
for being here.
Bye.
Bye.
So many places. Bye.